Man, this was a barren month, and there's only more of them to come! Brooms! Quidditch jokes! Madam Hooch! Phallic jokes! Also, Fluttershy cheats at a race and it's amazing. I skipped out on Battle for Muni because I have zero interest in Toffee or the Magical High whatever the fuck, so any episode that has to deal with them is an instant snorefest for me. I mean, Eclipse is alright, she's got a certain charm to her, but everything surrounding her is baked in this really bad attempt to talk about prejudice and just... Where are you going with this, Nefsi? The episode ends with them planning a trial for Eclipsa, but at the time of writing there's been no sign of when that's actually going to be, so I just don't care. The fact of the matter is, if this was something to be worth getting excited about, they wouldn't be teasing you with it Steven Universe style. Apparently, YA novels exist in this universe, and the most egregious example ever. Nightfall, a 200 installment series that mixes together every single genre and cliché known to man, but is presumably taking itself seriously, has passed from original creator to its fans over several decades, which would explain why it's such a mess of genres and clichés, because that's what happens when you give fans creative control. Lotte, so far notable in the fact that she explicitly describes herself as being a supporting character, is handed the reins of this franchise and doesn't want it, proceeding to tell the author to just turn off the comments already because fans don't know shit. I mean, I admire this episode's honesty and the fact that fans are the worst people to go to for feedback. They're either needlessly sugarcoatingly positive or negative in all the wrong ways because they can't analyze a work to save their lives. Considering I have to call many of these kind of people my colleagues, I can sympathize to an extent. Mind you, Nightfall never actually says that outright, instead talking about a creator's vision and whatnot, but we all know what the actual message is. Fandoms suck, said the Kickstarted TV series. Okay, what the fuck was this, and where has it been all my life? You remember when I said that the premise of Little Witch Academia was something that could lead to some interesting and cool ideas? This was those cool ideas. All of them simultaneously. It's a mindfuck, it's a character piece, it's a constant deluge of puns and comedy, it's ship-tastic, and it's taking full advantage of the fact that their ensemble dark horse is nuttier than rat crap at a pistachio factory. There's this one point where the really gay Susie turns into Yasharaj, and then turns into Maleficent, and then really has to ship right now in that order. And then Akko tries to Sleeping Beauty Susie awake, but gets denied at the last second, and then she does it again when they're actually awake. There's an angel and devil Susie, but because it's Susie, the angel is no angel. And I don't know why, but the courtroom scene is my favorite thing ever. Maybe it's because of the hilarious range of impressions Rachel Hager can do. Maybe it's because of that majestic mustache. Maybe it's because of the way the judge immediately flips to anger the moment Akko identifies himself like this is a touchy subject for her. Or maybe it's because it made me utter the word schmul gay witch babu, and for once I wasn't talking about Ellie. This was the acid trip to end all acid trips, and I want 15 more just like it. I have yet to be able to recommend this show to anybody, but this one episode I endorse wholeheartedly. It's majestic as fuck. I hate this fucking movie. Objectively, this movie's alright, but I honestly hate it, and if I never have to watch it again, it will be too soon. My problem with The Prince of Egypt isn't that it's preachy, it isn't that it's religious, it isn't that almost every single character is an unlikable jagoff who desperately needs to die. I mean, it does have all those problems, but in general, I'm okay with all of those things. No, my problem with this movie is one that I'm sure a lot of you are sick of me talking about by now, and that's the Starlight Glimmer effect. Namely, that there is one character in a designated hero role, but they make such unbelievably bad and destructive decisions that they end up becoming one of the story's biggest antagonists, but the writers clearly want you to just go along with it so they never bring it up. In The Prince of Egypt, that's Jehovah, a man with unlimited power and influence who, for some reason, decides that the best method to get his children out of Egypt is terrorism. You know, that thing you do when you don't have more power than your adversary. Of course, the plagues of Egypt are notorious for being a massive failure because Ramesses decides that if this is the way Jehovah wants to play it, then he's just gonna kill all the Hebrew instead of letting them go. Jehovah beats him to the punch by massacring every firstborn in Egypt, which only makes Ramesses angrier and angrier, and now all of Egypt is unbelievably pissed and wants to kill the Hebrew purely for the sake of spiting Jehovah. Because what the hell did you think was gonna happen? And here's where it gets infuriating, because when Ramesses chases after them with an army as they're leaving Egypt, Jehovah barricades them with a pillar of fire. Here's my question, why didn't you do that at the start? What was all this? You're God! There's a million ways you could have done this that didn't constantly put your own people through constant and unending misery. Oh yeah, remember how Ramesses says he's gonna kill the Hebrew to spite Jehovah? In the original story, every time there's a plague, Egypt puts harsher and harsher conditions on the Hebrew to further spite Jehovah. Sure, you could say that there's a lesson there about pushing God and God pushing harder, but he's not the one suffering the consequences for his own actions. If I were in their position, I'd be thinking, why are we worshiping this guy again? And that's exactly what they do.
God? When did God start caring about any of us?
This is a massive problem with the whole movie, and while you could make the excuse that their hands were tied because that's how the original story goes, the original story didn't humanize Jehovah. That scene with the burning bush where they give Jehovah a voice, a personality, emotions, an ego, and a temper, that all subjects Jehovah to human logic. There's a reason most Bible stories have Jehovah being suspiciously mute, and if you cut this scene out of the movie, all of those problems vanish because you are not constantly being reminded that the plagues are the conscious decisions of a man with no tactical thinking whatsoever. In fact, completely removing a humanized Jehovah from the story actually makes the plagues terrifying rather than frustrating, because while you know who it's coming from, you will never truly get an answer as to why this. With Jehovah being humanized, you get an answer to that question, because it's fun. What is actually supposed to be a terrifying series of punishments for slavery comes across like a schoolboy pulling the legs off a spider. This man needs an intervention. Why is this movie a classic? I know there's a lot of stuff going on about Moses discovering his heritage because he's a privileged dick, but I'm being serious here. All of that was made irrelevant the moment Jehovah shows up and becomes the Sagittarius A of plot holes. At that point, any goodwill the movie had was just pissed away. I'm starting to realize that there's a reason VeggieTales never really had God speak at all. I'll see you in June.